And we're back with another episode of Armstrong Avenue with Scott Armstrong, and I'm Big Mike. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Big Mike? Good to be back. Appreciate
man.
it. Appreciate everybody listening to our previous podcasts.
The last 15.
It's crazy,
been a great,
right?
yeah, it's been a great experience. I think we've been going for 3 months now.
Yeah, that's great.
Two of us working this, man, and people are behind us. We got fans, we've got supporters, listeners, and sponsors.
Yeah, that counts too.
Hey,
Big time.
listen, we got to thank our sponsors again. Bones Coffee Company. Those people are great, phenomenal coffee.
Yes.
I have placed my second order for the spooky flavors. My wife was like, "You've got to try these new spooky flavors." And she bought a Keurig. My wife went and bought a Keurig.
All right, good investment.
Because she told me she was tired of me wasting coffee. So
that's a good investment.
So she bought a Keurig, and she makes coffee, and then she pours it on ice. She likes cold coffee, which
Gotcha.
I told her I can't trust her anymore.
Yeah.
I gotta have.
Next thing you know, she's saying she hates Chick-fil-A.
Man, if she ever said that, I think somebody replaced her. We eat a lot of that. But Bones, man, Bones got some good stuff going, and
yes, they do.
I've heard a lot of our listeners are getting it. But if you're getting it, be sure to get it with that 15% off using code Armstrong.
Amen. Code Armstrong, 15% off.
Look, make sure you get that discount because we all know money's money, all right? Use the discount when you can use it.
Amen.
And if you want to get a comfortable shirt, collar and elbow. Most comfortable shirt I own. My wife sleeps in most of them. I get one.
And good people that run the show there too, man. Collar and Elbow's got a heck of a staff. Really good people. So, and what's the percentage off for
10%?
10% off.
Code
Armstrong. Yep.
I'm still waiting on an Armstrong Avenue T-shirt for Collar and Elbow. If they're listening, we're waiting.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, we need one. Armstrong Avenue.
Hey, man, just put our faces on there. We'll be good. I
don't know, man. We want to try to sell them. Maybe they shouldn't put our faces on there.
Okay, don't put our faces on there. I popped myself the other day. I was scrolling through Facebook, and I seen our logo shared all over Facebook. Guys, go support the Armstrong Avenue podcast. Scott Armstrong's going to be at Superstars Fan Fest October 22nd. Support this show. They got a great thing going. And I was like, man, I shared it. And I said, guys, if you need me, I'm going to be signing autographs and kissing babies.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a big show. October 22nd, Rome, Georgia Fan Fest. That's they got some stars on there, but I know on the 29th of well, first let me go back to the 22nd. I don't know. Do you remember the Zane brothers, Todd Zane, Tony Zane? Yes. And so look, they were with the there was a group back in the day, the Peachtree Mafia, and they were and they were always a problem for the Armstrong family. So it's going to be cool. The day of that, the 22nd, there will be the Autograph Fan Fest, and then that night there's a show there in Rome, Georgia, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm going to referee a match on the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. But fast forward to October 29th,
Thomaston, Georgia,
at the Civic Center, and I know there's a lot of big names on that show too, and I will definitely be happy to be a part of that. Looking forward to it. It'll be my second time being there with the Main Event Wrestling, the IWN, and I'm really looking forward to that, October 29th.
It's going to be a good show. We've got Zicky Dice, Impact Wrestling Zicky Dice. He's going to be competing for the IWN Championship against our champion, Adam Priest. And I'll tell you, a lot of people don't know this, but Zicky Dice is a very good technical wrestler. And people are going to get to see that because I think Adam Priest is one of the best technical wrestlers on the independent circuit right now. So,
he's definitely made a name for himself, without a doubt. And look, Zicky Dice, don't don't judge the book by the cover, man. I'm telling you, on the outside, he is flamboyant, and you think this guy can't go, but you'd be wrong because he
He can
can.
go.
And so, yeah, it's going to be a good match on October 29th there in Thomaston.
We've also got Ace Austin, Impact and Bullet Club member. Ace Austin is going to make his appearance at Main Event Wrestling. We don't know what he's doing yet, but it's going to be big. It is going to, whatever it is, it's going to be big.
Yep, looking forward to seeing him too.
Yep. But let's go October 22nd. I got to shout out a friend of mine. He is going to be making his very first vendor appearance since starting his business, and I'm so proud of him. My friend Jason Pringle, he owns a comic book company called Atomic Drop Comics, and he started this during COVID when he got laid off. He's an artist, really great artist. And during COVID, he started drawing wrestling comics, and he got them published, and they are phenomenal. It's amazing what he can do.
Wow, that's awesome.
And he is getting out this year and really promoting himself, and I can't wait to see it. I mean,
Mike, it's weird. I haven't seen any of the copies of his work in my mailbox, so I don't know
what. You know what? I might can make. I have some here at the house. I'll have to go get one off the bookshelf, but I will get Jason to send you one. Jason, I know you're listening. He tells me all the time.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to sing your praises, but all I can do is listen to Mike talk about it.
Hey, you're going to get to me. Yeah, you're going to get to meet him in a few weeks. I promise you that.
I'm looking forward to it.
He's a good guy. I can't wait. You guys, Superstars Fan Fest is going to be great, man.
Now, Mike, will he be on the October 29th show?
I'm trying to get him to be there, but he's not from Georgia. He's from up in Iowa area.
Oh, I got you.
So, but he's traveling a lot. I tried to get him at the July 23rd show because he was coming through Georgia, but for some reason he didn't make it. Jason, we need to talk about that.
Well, Jason, make the rounds, my brother.
Yeah, man. Get out there, promote yourself. I'm really proud of you, man. But moving on, man, I know people have been asking you. People have been asking me, hey, how's Scott doing? This Hurricane Ian, the biggest hurricane in years, has come through and really just demolished parts of Florida. How are you doing in Pensacola?
So, look, I totally understand when people hear, a hurricane's coming to Florida, the first thing they do is just bunch it all up into one pile, and Florida is, the hurricane hits it. And when it first was being talked about turning into a hurricane, Pensacola was right in the edge of the cone of uncertainty, as they call it. And so as the days went on, it started curving like it was going to come up and curve back into the bottom of Florida. Not necessarily the bottom, but bottom southwest, I guess, of Florida, and then cut back up like through Orlando and across the water, which is basically what it did. And so, and people were still, I had relatives that said, hey, how are y'all doing down there? Because you don't think of Florida being so spread out. But I mean, if you drive from Miami, which is at the tip end of Florida, all the way up to Pensacola, which is northwest Florida, right near the Alabama line, it's about a 13-hour drive. And so, I mean, it's a ride. And so look, the entire week we got nothing but sunshine. We did get a lot of wind, but nothing but sunshine because Pensacola is northwest Florida on the Gulf Coast. And so, look, it goes, like Destin, like Panama City, Destin, Navarre, Gulf Breeze, Pensacola Beach, and then on to Gulf Shores, Alabama. And so that whole coastline, we were spared. I mean, we had nothing but gorgeous weather and mid 80s. For the people down in Fort Myers and Naples, and oh my gosh, that Sanibel Island, their bridge got literally
demolished,
broke off into the ocean. Yes. And so now, you got about 6,500 people on that island that can't go anywhere or do anything. And, eventually they will, the first thing they'll do is start rebuilding because here in Pensacola, look, I've lived in the same home for 26 years. I've been through Hurricane Ivan, which was like this one, a 3 or a 4. And we went up to Atlanta to Brad's house and stayed with him during that time and came back 7 days later. Still had no power, still had no phone lines, and our privacy fence in the backyard gone. Half the roof of my house gone. Our shed in the backyard with all the tools and stuff gone. People coming 2 weeks later saying, "Hey, is this your Halloween stuff?" And my kids were little at the time that had their names. I was like, "Yes, it is." "Oh yeah, I live 2 streets back," and then it ended up in my yard, and you just go, man, a hurricane is nothing to play with. And when I was young and living down here with no kids, it was like, oh man, well, let's have a hurricane party and don't go anywhere. And then you get a little older, hopefully a little wiser, and have kids, and you realize, hey, you know what? It just takes Category 1 for the winds to pick up and shoot the neighbor's, firewood through your window. And so we just decided anytime something like that comes, we'll take off. This time we were very lucky though. But I did get a lot of phone calls, a lot of text messages, and even tweets with people saying, "Hey, we're thinking about you guys." And so I appreciate all the positive vibes I do, but right now all that positivity and anything anybody can do for the people of Naples or Fort Myers. The hurricane came and went, so the news just covers that for a couple of days. What the news doesn't cover is those people's lives that they will just, their houses are gone. People's lives are just flipped upside down and they don't know what's next. And so, anything you can do to help those people, please reach out or donate or whatever you can do. It's a tough spot. It really is. And when Hurricane Ivan came through, I watched my brother Steve. He lived in a low-lying area, and he had 5 feet of water come through his house. And they came in and said, all we can do is tear it down. His roof gone, and so it messed his whole life up. It literally, you live in a FEMA trailer after that, and you try to start over again, except you're starting over again, and now you got kids. You know what I mean? It's tough. So thoughts and prayers. I know people make light of saying that, but thoughts, prayers, positive vibes, and anything else you can do for the people of those cities, because it's total turmoil. But again, I appreciate all the positive vibes people sent me. I really do, and checking in with me. I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, for sure. I know a good friend of mine who I worked on an ambulance with for a long time. Her parents live on Sanibel Island.
Oh, wow.
Her mom was working at the hospital. She couldn't come home. Her dad, the last thing she heard from her dad was that he had water up to his ankles, and that was at 3:00 in the afternoon yesterday.
Wow.
And they haven't heard anything, and it's really horrible situation, and we're really praying for everybody out there.
Yeah, it's tough. It's very tough on everybody. It is.
Yep. But that's just, it's awful. We're glad you're okay, Scott. We're glad your family's good.
All good, brother. All good.
Because we do have some pretty crazy news, man, for all of our Dothan listeners and people in the surrounding area, people who love the Continental and Southeastern. What we're about to do is really going to change the game. And people who are listening, you guys are going to love it. I'm dragging it out for suspense purposes.
I love it.
2023, Big Mike, I'm bringing Main Event Wrestling, our promotion that we run with Scott, to Dothan, Alabama. We are bringing big-time wrestling back to Dothan. It is going to be incredible.
I'm looking forward to it, dude. I am. I know we had talked about it a number of times, and then finally you reached back out to me with a firm date. And Dothan, Alabama is where it all started for me personally. I had my very first match in the Houston County Farm Center, and just right down the road from that is the arena that we're going to be working in. You want to talk about that a little bit, Mike?
Yeah, for sure. So just a little bit about what happened with Dothan. So a guy reached out to you from the podcast from Dothan. Want to just kind of talk about the podcast and gave his number. And I reached back to him and said, just wanted to, as a thank you for reaching out and telling us about how, talking to us about the podcast. And he was like, hey, look, dude, I think what you guys got going in Georgia would be really good in Dothan. And I was like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. But then we sat on it for about a month. And the guys us at Main Event, we talked about it, and we were like, we're already doing our show in April out in Wyoming. Why don't we, see what Dothan's about? So I reached out, got some contacts. The Crossing at Big Creek venue, we're going to be there February 25th, 2023, with a stacked lineup. We've already got people booked. Of course, Scott. Of course, myself. I'll be there. You guys can come meet me. I'll be taking pictures and kissing babies. But also today, we booked the Hustler, Rip Rogers. Scott, I'll let you go into that.
So look, I that's the coolest thing ever. And look, anybody that's a fan from back in the day, Hustler Rip Rogers was a staple in the Continental area, and he did all the towns. He had a valet at the time, Miss Brenda, and the fans affectionately named her Fleabag. and look, Rip was awesome. He always had he was always in the gym, so he had an unreal body, and just the fans loved to hate him. And so to be able to get him on this show is, look, I know there's been a number of people in and out of Dothan in the past, old names from the past, but I don't think Rip has ever been in on a autograph session in Dothan or a memorabilia thing, anything. So Hustler Rip Rogers making another appearance in Dothan, Alabama. I'm really looking forward to it because I've got great memories of having really good matches against him with Miss Brenda on the outside of the ring, and so look, he was always a good human being to me, and so I'm really looking forward to it, and I think it brings a good flavor to the show as a whole, because I know there's a lot of young up and coming talent that are going to be on this show in Dothan, and so. I think the old school mix with the new school flair is just going to be a total positive and something that you'd want to go ahead and make plans to be a part of. You know what I mean?
Yes, for sure. I'm working on booking the show right now. I'm bringing in, and like you said, we're going to bring a mixture of new school and old school, and really provide something. Because what we want to do, we want to bring relevant wrestling back to Dothan. Something that it hasn't had since you guys were packing the farm center out every Saturday night. We, we want to do that. We may not do it every Saturday night, but we want to do something to where the people of Dothan get what they want and what they deserve to have. Because Dothan it's steeped in that wrestling history, and to be able to bring something back, I mean, I'm taking it upon myself to really do this. This is kind of my brainchild, and also one of the big things we're doing. And I'm working alongside you, and it was something I wanted to do. And I asked you, I said, what do you think about doing this? The first ever and first one that we want to do every year. It's the Bullet Bob Armstrong Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah, that's like such an honor to his name and what he did in the business, and so. I think it's really cool to have, there'll be guys, believe me, once this podcast goes out and wrestlers hear about this, there's going to be a lot of people hitting you up saying, hey, look out, I just want to be a part of it. And I mean, look, to end up being the very first ever winner of the Bob Armstrong Memorial Battle Royal will be, it's a feather in anybody's cap as far as their wrestling career goes. So, I look forward to seeing how many people enter this to try to be a part of it. I really do. And look, for the family, honored to, I'm honored to be there, needless to say, but honored to have his name be held in such high regard. It's very flattering, and I know it would be to him. He would appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. We want that to be that's going to be the main event of the show. Is going to be the battle royal, and we already have our first entrant. The first person has come up and said they want to do it, and it's a name well known in the whole state of Alabama. He has been there. He's worked there. He's been on the road for years, and that's Action Mike Jackson.
Mike Jackson, yes. My gosh, man, I can remember. Hey, how old? You know, I saw him on Impact Wrestling. It's got to be a year or two ago, and I know Mike's got to be 70, and I saw him walk up the turnbuckles and go to the top rope and walk down the top rope and jump off, and I went, oh my God, I can't look. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that in my prime, and so to see him do that was like, wow. So that's look, the people of Dothan will definitely, all the people in the Continental area would definitely remember Mike Jackson. He is a Southern staple.
The minute I told him we were doing this, he said, well, I got to be a part of that. I got to be there. So Mike's going to be there. And look, if you're a wrestler and you want to be a part of this historic battle royal, you could shoot me a DM at Big Mike, the host, and I will, we'll see what we can do. We want this to be a major event and something that is a tradition for years to come in the city of Dothan.
That's cool, man. That's very cool.
Because any way we can honor your dad who built wrestling down there, what was that guy? It's something we want to do.
I appreciate it very much. I do.
And
who else have you signed? Have you got any other big names that you signed?
So just the other day, I signed. If you're an avid fan of NWA and Impact Wrestling, Lady Frost, phenomenal talent, wonderful talent. She will be coming, as well as Victor Benjamin. He is up and coming superstar, as well as a legit bad dude. He's MMA fighter, undefeated, and he will kick your head off. And
I remember seeing Lady Frost on Impact do a moonsault from the top turnbuckle, and I went, man. And I remember her like when she first started, when I was with WWE, she would come and be one of the extra talent, and she would have great matches. Like they would have extra talent matches before they let fans into the arena, and she was talented, and you knew, and she wanted it. You know what I mean? She wanted to be a star, and she's been hard at it ever since. So to see her on Impact, like, oh man, it's cool. She is making those steps. So it's a great sign to see her coming to Dothan in February of 23.
They have signed on to work more than one show with Main Event Wrestling.
Awesome.
They're coming on for the ride, man. They're coming in starting January 28th here in Georgia. I'll give y'all more information on that show very soon. But I can tell you that's going to be a good one. That and we're really excited, as well as we signed Austin Idol. He will be making his first Dothan appearance in probably 10 years.
Austin Idol, the universal heartthrob. Austin Idol.
Yep, he'll be coming to town. And that's going to be good, man. We're trying to bring some like you said, mixture of old school and new school. Let's bring it. You got, and if you want to be on that card for the Battle Royal, DM me. Let's make this happen.
Yeah. Hey, Mike, you better weed through that very carefully. You're going to get a lot of DMs from people that have never been in a ring in their lives, and I want to be in it.
Yeah.
You better make sure they've been in the business a day or two.
Yeah, you're gonna have to send me your resume, and your matches, and let's talk business.
Yes, that's for sure.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Not everybody's gonna get in this. We can't put 50, 60 people in this.
No, because the first thing you have to do is put more support under that ring, and that's something. Look, I know that sounds funny, but man, WWE, if you start talking about a battle royal, before you start mentioning how many people are in it, first thing you talk about is putting more support under the ring to make sure that ring does not collapse, because it's happened. back in the day, it was just some plywood and some long boards, and but now you put 16 people or 20 people or whatever in a ring, you never know.
Yeah.
So you got to have that reinforced for sure.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to the Battle Royal. I really am. I'm looking forward to 29th October in Thomaston, Georgia. Man, that's just a lot happening in the South, and it's cool to see main event wrestling branching out like that. Really, really cool, and it's fun to be a part of too.
It is. And when they came to me and said, we want to go on tour in 2023, we want you to start finding venues and finding places to go, I said, okay, where do you want to go? I said, you tell me where, and I'll make it happen. So maybe coming to a city near you very soon.
I hope so. I hope it's a city near me, so the drive.
Hey, Dothan ain't bad for you.
Dothan's 2.5 hours tops.
Yeah. Dothan ain't bad. It ain't riding all the way up to Thomaston or Lovejoy.
No,
Georgia.
and you know what? Look, people immediately go, okay, Dothan on what? Tell me the date again for Dothan.
February 25th.
February 25th. So they look at that and they go, okay, so I can leave that morning and drive, and it'll take 4 hours to get there, and then see the show in 4 hours to get back. When you know about the show this far out, you can literally make plans with a friend or friends to either travel with you there or all meet up there, go in the night before, enjoy Dothan. My God, Dobbs Barbecue in Dothan is some of the best barbecue I ever had in my life. They've been in Dothan since time started. I mean, forever. and literally the best barbecue in Brunswick stew. Oh my God. But anyway, there are things to do around Dothan. And so you could come in the night before, make a day of it. And you know what I mean? When you know this far out, that's the fun part about wrestling, because it's friends and family, and you can make a fun weekend out of it. And so, and if you're planning on doing that, now's the time. Get with hotels. Better yet, get with Big Mike in the comments, or like he said, DM him and get with him. And he's going to be going back to Dothan in a week or so, and he's going to see hotels, and he'll figure out all the main places to stay, and so stay in touch with him. And right, Mike?
Yeah. You can shoot me a DM. Look, we're gonna find hotels, places to stay at, but you come in the night before, you'll probably find me at the bingo hall next to the venue, losing my ass.
It's not a casino, but there are slot machines. I don't know how it works, but there's some way it works.
It's kind of like them back rooms in a convenience store. It's like an oversized one.
Somehow it's legal. That's all I can say. Somehow it's legal, and I don't know. You'll have to find out.
I don't know, but the venue's great. The building's phenomenal. The people who run it are great. And I'm looking forward to Dothan. Dothan's gonna be fun. We're gonna bring good stuff. And come see all of us, support us, and have a good time, because I promise you're gonna love this show. You're gonna love what we bring and what we do.
No, we're gonna have a good time. That's for sure.
I don't know of anybody else on the independent scene who brings the kind of production and quality and the lights and the sound and things that we do. When we bring it, we bring it.
Yep, it's fun to be a part of. I will say that it is a lot of fun.
But man, moving on, dude. Our last show, I had so many people hit us up and say, Mike, that was the best show. They loved hearing the stories about your dad and things like that. So, you got anything else, man?
I appreciate that very much. I do. It's funny. This morning, I mean, look, it's like I said, a beautiful day here, and I pulled my flat bench and my dumbbells out in the driveway, which I do when it's a beautiful day, and in the middle of getting a workout, and all of a sudden FedEx pulls up and stops, and the guy gets out, and I'm out there. I'm the crazy neighbor, right, with the no shirt on and a sweat going, and my
Putting on a
workout.
show.
Yeah, well, yeah, but hey, I got my car, so I'm kind of behind my car. But anyway, and he comes up and he said, "Man, I forget his name now, but he introduced himself, and we started talking and about wrestling, and so then when he said, "All right, I got to get back to work." I said, "Wait, you don't have a package for me?" And he went, "No, I just saw you out here working out and thought I'd just say, what up? How you doing, man?" And I thought, you know what, man, that for me personally, I felt like that was really cool. That, and he talked about my dad a lot. And so it really made me feel good that somebody thought enough of my father and my family, driving by and seeing me just get a workout. I got music going in the background, and I'm the old white guy that loves rap, and so so I have my rap really loud coming out of the garage. I know the neighbors hate my guts, but and he listened to, he hears it, what's going on, and especially with the passing of Coolio this week, I was listening to a lot of Gangster's Paradise, and so he sat there hearing it all and never said a word. He didn't miss a beat, and we talked about my dad. So it was really, it made me feel good, man, that somebody, people remember. They do. And so when he left and I kept getting that workout, and I know I've mentioned it on here before, right before my dad passed, he said, "Son, just never stop working out. Just don't stop working out, because if you do, you're done. It's over." And so, and I thought about that, and that drives me big time. And also, like, Brad, when he passed, he and I were wearing like the same size shorts and shirts. And so his wife gave them to me. And even though it's been a lot of years, I still I'll wear his shorts to get a workout, and it just drives me, man. You know what I mean? They're his, and I knew how he was into getting a good workout. And I don't know, man. It's you live life, and hopefully you see the big picture. Hey, some people go through life with blinders on, and God bless their hearts, man. I hope nothing but the best for them. But I'm glad that I was able to get old enough to where I can take a step back and realize there's a bigger picture than just Scott. Because in my youth, I promise you, I made it all about me. And then you get older and realize, man, it's nothing about me. It's about perspective and how you look at life. And today I was blessed with a beautiful day and got a good workout. And another human being stopped by and showed respect to my father. And hey, man, it's a great day. Plus, I woke up this morning. I'm really happy about that. So yeah, it's hey, man, I appreciate that people are listening to our podcast, and I really appreciate more than anything that that the episode about my father was one of our most downloaded and got the most. I know for me personally, I got a lot of text messages, personal text, and a lot of DMs on Twitter from people saying, "Man, that was a good episode about your dad." And what can you say? He was a good dude, and he left a huge footprint in the world, and I'm just proud to share his last name. Really am.
Yeah. You can tell, man. You can really tell, and like you said, I'm just glad to hear all the positive vibes from people from our last episode.
Yeah, look, I'm glad people are listening. You know what I mean? I mean, look, DA Brewer, DA, if you're listening, I love you, buddy. He is a referee for, he was with NXT, and now I see him all over the main roster, Raw, SmackDown. I've seen him on those shows and NXT. So he's all over the place, and it's well deserved and well earned. And he's another Georgia guy. He's a Georgia guy like us, Mike. And but anyway, he texted me and said he he was enjoying the podcast, and he had actually ordered some Bones coffee. And so I said, all right, man. I said, hey, at least you're listening. You know what I mean?
Look,
At least we got one listener. But
man,
I had a bunch of people reach out about that episode. So it's really positive, man. And I really appreciate the, people reaching out and talking about that. I mean, look, he's my dad, so I could talk about him all day, every day. It always does me good personally in my heart to talk about him. I rode out not long ago to where he and my mom are buried, and man, it just, they passed 8 weeks apart. So to be able to sit there and think about my mom raising 4 sons and my dad, and then all 4 sons becoming professional wrestlers, and my dad still wrestling. And you think about, there are tough women that walk this planet, but there wasn't too many much tougher than her. And sweet as she could be. I miss her, man. I miss her. I want to hug her neck and say, I love you, Mama. And I hope people that are listening to this, look, I don't know what your background is with your mama or your dad, but call them and tell them you love them, because once they're gone, you can't do it. And my wife's parents, now we've been a store that, look, I do hold this part against her parents. They're Alabama fans. And you know I'm a University of Georgia Bulldog guy.
Yes, sir.
So and we were in the grocery store, and they had pumpkins are out because Halloween's coming, and they had a solid white pumpkin, and it had the Alabama logo on the pumpkin. And I said, how dare them put that mess in this grocery store? And my wife said, oh, my parents would love that. And I went, okay, well, let's get it. And so as we were walking to the register, there's an old dude, and he's got a UGA, a Georgia Bulldog shirt on. And I said, how about them dogs? And he looked at me and said, there you go. And he went, and he did look down and saw that pumpkin. And I went, hey, don't get mad at me. This is for my in-laws. And he started laughing. He goes, no, that's okay. I get it. I just hope when they play each other that the dogs win. And I said, me too. But going back, what I'm trying to tell you is my in-laws are, look, you look at older, when you're young and you see older people, they're old. You know what I mean? I got a young life to live, man. Don't get in my way. You're old. You've been there and done that. But to not go to those old people and say, hey, what do you think of this? At least get their opinion, because they've been there and done that. And so, it's things you think of when your parents are gone, and you go, man, I wish I could. Well, you can't. You can't go backwards, only forward. So learn from it, use it, and go forward with it. And that's what I do with my wife's parents. They're in their mid-70s, and I go to them a lot because that's what I got left now. And I go to them so much, I actually bought them a pumpkin with an Alabama sticker on it, which I will never do again.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh,
yeah,
man. My wife converted me. I was raised a Georgia Tech fan, but
yeah.
10 years with my wife, and you see how things change.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, Roman Reigns, that's who he played football for.
And I remember him playing defensive tackle for Georgia Tech too.
Yeah, man.
And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until I was told, and I was like, holy crap.
Yep. That's my mom went to University of Georgia, and her sister went to Georgia Tech. So it's always been a family rivalry. Yeah. And that game at the end of the season, is the big game, and that's the big family rivalry. So
yeah.
Anyway,
that's
back
college football. I could talk about it all day, but look, back to the Armstrong family. So just last week, just a few days ago, I seen on Twitter, somebody did, we do the hashtag Ask Scott segment, which was, I need to trademark the hashtag Ask segments, because now your brother's copying us with the hashtag Ask Dog segment. And
I love it.
And but somebody asked him some questions, and you replied back, we got to take these. We've got to answer these questions. So these were great questions. Do you want me to ask them all one at a time, or do you want me to just ask all 3 of them, or how you want me to do it?
No, one at a time. So, hey, I remember this tweet. I remember that the Oh You Didn't Know podcast reached out and said, hey, if you have questions for Road Dogg about the Armstrong family, please let us know. Ask Road Dogg or whatever it was. Ask Brian. I don't know exactly what it was.
Hashtag Ask Dog, which
Ask Dogg. Okay. And so I remember because when I saw it, I quoted that tweet and said, I promise I'm stealing every one of these for my podcast.
These were great questions.
The brother podcast wars. I love it.
These are great questions, man. And it came from facts from wrestling sports games.
Any idea who that is?
I have no idea. No idea.
Me either.
But they asked the question. So the first question was, who was the bully in the family?
Wow. My dad. My dad. Here, and I'll tell you. So when we were little, there was 4 of us, right? So 4 boys. And so we would play, you watch football on TV. When the game's over, what do you want to do? You want to get the Nerf football and go play out in the yard. And so my dad would always say, all right, I'll play quarterback for both teams. And so he would like if there was a questionable call, it always went in favor of whoever he was on the offense with at the time. Always. If it never failed. And so whoever was on defense would go, no, Dad, no, that's bull, no. And he would say, nope, it's my rules. I'm the quarterback. My rules. As far as and that's just one. He was the king of saying, boys, do as I say, not as I do. Because if he told us to do something and then he did it, and not to do something, and then he did it, we'd go, Dad, you told, and we would try to call him on it, and he'd go, boys, do as I say, not as I do. And then he would start laughing. I don't know. As far as the 4 boys, the bully, I don't know if maybe me. I was the oldest. I was the oldest, and look, I'm sure I was the bully when we were all really small. And then once we got to about 15, I think Brad could whip my ass. So I quit fighting him. Look, man, smarter, not harder, right? And then look, Steve ended up becoming like the biggest, strongest one in the family. And then here came Brian. Look, I'm 8 years older than Brian. And I was Brad started wrestling first, and then I started wrestling, and then Steve, and then years later, Brian. And Brian ended up being, 6'4" and whatever, but he ended up being the tallest of the family. And it's funny because I felt like, Brad, look, it's always no question who was the best in-ring performer in the family, Brad. And I don't have a brother alive that would not disagree with that. Steve and Brian would both say, 100% Brad was the best. And I felt like me, Brad, and Steve were all like the mat wrestling guys, and we got that side of my dad. And Brian was, he was the baby of the family. So he was the one that showed out the most as a kid. And then all of a sudden they stuck a microphone in his hand, and oh dear Lord, we all know what happened after that. You know what I mean? So he was able to be the mouthpiece part of our dad. And he wasn't scared. He wasn't scared, man. So he did it all. As far as bullies go, like with him, look, I was 8 years older. He was my baby brother. I took up for him. If he did something wrong when he was 5, I literally lied and said, no, he didn't. You know what I mean? But with Steve and Brad, yeah, they probably had the opportunity to say I was the bully because I was the oldest. That's funny.
Speaking of Brian being 6'4", I didn't realize how tall he was until I met him in July. And
Yeah.
whenever I come around the corner and see him, I was like, "Good God, I
Yeah.
didn't." Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is when you saw him and Billy together, Billy's like 6'5",
Yeah.
and him and Billy Gunn. And so when you see those guys together, you go, my God, what an we did a autograph thing for Ric Flair's last match, and I was at the table right next to the two of them, and we're all three standing up, and I'm 6 foot, so I looked like a little tiny old man, and so because that's basically what I was, but standing next to two monsters, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were, and back in the day in WWE, everybody was huge, so you didn't realize, oh wow, these guys are really big. And the people that would come up and have their picture made with them, that's one of the things they'd say is, I never realized how big you guys were. And hey man, it's TV, right? Television, you can't really tell.
Crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What else you got?
Question 2, man. I love these questions. These are great questions.
It's fun, right?
Who was the most grounded of you guys?
The most grounded
Of the brothers, yeah.
Yeah, that's me by far. I mean, I know I'm not breaking my arm to pat myself on the back or saying, "Oh yeah, I'm this, I'm that," but I literally, I worked I've worked real jobs. All my brothers were all in the wrestling business, and there comes a time when when the wrestling business doesn't really need you or want you, or however you want to put it, there's not a spot for you, and you have to be able to remember where you came from. And that's something I feel like, I take great pride in teaching my children that as they grew up, being able to teach them that as they grew up was, hey, don't forget where you came from, and don't forget other human beings. You know what I mean? Don't think that, I watched a wrestling show this past week where I saw a star who was made by one company bite the hand of that company and do it from another company platform. And you just go, that's the case of the star thinking that they're bigger than the business that made them. And look, we're all just people. I don't care what anybody says. I can serve you large fries through the drive-through window as good as anybody, I promise you. And I can do it. And I've, when when Vince bought it out, and so many of the talent from WCW went to WWE, I wasn't one of or WWF at the time. I was not one of those. And I literally walked in a gym, and right next door is a furniture store, and I knew the manager, and he was loading a coffee table onto a truck. I just got the other end of it and loaded it up there. And he went, "Oh, you don't have to do that." And I said, "Dude, no, I'm sitting at home every day. I'll do it. If you need help, I'll help you." And so I helped him end up loading this furniture truck. And he said, "Well, I'll pay you if you'll go to this house with me and unload it." And I said, "Okay." At 40 years old, without a job in the wrestling business, I was a furniture moving guy. And that's how it started, with just that. And that literally was on 9/11 day. That was the day that the planes flew into the building, and it was that day. And I'll never forget it. And I ended up literally lifting furniture and being that guy. Look, man, when your kids are hungry and they need diapers, you don't say, "Wait a minute, I'm Scott Armstrong. I got," that crap don't pay the bills. I don't care what anybody says. And so did I want to be out of the wrestling business? No, I did not. I still did the independent circuit on the weekends. And this dude at the furniture store, he was cool enough to say, "Hey, man, whatever you need to do as far as wrestling goes, you tell me, and I'll work you every day." And I said, "Okay, great." So that's what I did, man. Look, I felt like that helped me be grounded. I really did. When I started making that WWE money, man, and it got big, could I have bought the $1 million home? I could have, but why? You know what I mean? My kids were adults, and I even said to my wife, I said, "Are you ready to get that dream home?" And she said, "Scott, all our dreams are in this home." And when she said it, I realized, man, not only is she right, but man, did I marry the right girl? God Almighty! Just the fact that we've been married 35 years now, and we're still on the same page when it comes to at least that.
Yeah.
Because we're not on the same page with anything else. But it's the yin and yang effect. But it's just, I feel like I've stayed grounded. I don't know. And my brothers may all say, well, he's full of crap. But hey, they don't have this podcast. We do. So there you go.
I love it. That's awesome, dude. It's always good to remember where you come from.
Amen, man.
Look,
amen. Totally agree.
I'll never forget, my humble beginnings, being dirt poor, living in the woods with no cell phone service, and with my parents owning a trucking company. And I told my wife, I said, if that house I grew up in ever goes up for sale, we're buying it and I'm moving back home. Because I had 10 acres of peace and quiet. Now my phone don't stop ringing.
Yeah. That's that's life now, right?
Yeah. Nowadays I'm a busy man. I looked at my wife the other day. I said, how did I get to this point where I've got people, like, I'm talking to Scott Armstrong all the time, and I've got phone numbers of people. Like, how did that happen over the last year? And she was like,
Hey,
I don't know, man.
The wrestling business, man, she's the best.
I shot Teddy Long a text message the other day, man. I said, Teddy, I heard the Atlanta Falcons were reaching out to you because they needed somebody to block for them.
That's awesome.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
I saw his podcast, him and Mac. I saw a little bit of it where he talked about he had blocked somebody and they got hot, so they hacked him and then blocked a bunch of people. Yeah. I don't care. I love Teddy. He can block me, not block me. I don't care. I'm gonna love him no matter what. I've known him, since I was a young dude. So it's all good.
I think very highly of Teddy. But question number 3, man. So this is a funny question. I can't wait to hear your answer, man. Who was the most disgusting in your family, doing farts, burps, etc.?
Dude, it was a house full of wrestlers. It was nonstop, all of that. My God. I'll say this. When we all got married and the wives became, look, you got to understand, a house full of wrestlers. I mean, number one right there is like in this day and time, if we were all just getting started, like back in the 80s, if we were all just getting started today, USA Network would have cameras in our house just following all the wrestlers around. And you know what I mean? It would be a show. A sitcom or whatever they call it nowadays, reality TV. But so when it was just all the boys, it was all that. My poor mother, I'm telling you, bless her heart. And so, but it was all that. But I will say this, and I thank my mom and dad for this. Once wives started coming into the picture, I think Steve got married, and then I got married, and then Brad got, I think that's how, anyway, as we each got married and wives started coming into the mix, my mom and dad's house was like, party central. I mean, we all went over there to get a workout because my dad had the 2-car garage full of weights and, workout machines and all that stuff. And so we would all call and say, okay, meet you there. And we would all go over there and get a workout, and then kids came into play. So there were none of the disgusting, burps and farts. Nobody did any of that in front of anybody's wife. It was total respect for the women of our lives. And I thank God for my mom and dad for that. You know what I mean? Because they instilled, you don't disrespect. You know what I mean? If that's the woman that you're hanging your hat on, if that's the woman that you're saying, in a church in front of God, this is my queen for the rest of my life, you don't disrespect her in front of other people. You don't do it. And even brothers, and we didn't do that kind of stuff. And so it's funny because, when you get married, you have to. My wife literally had no clue about professional wrestling. Her dad was in the Navy. She had grown up as a Navy brat, moving all around the world. And their last stint was the parents were in Japan, and I met my wife as her parents were going to Japan, and she stayed in Pensacola. And so when I said I was, I was a wrestler, and she went like, a wrestler, like in high school? You're not in high school. And I said, no, like on TV. And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, like Hulk Hogan. And she went, who's Hulk Hogan? And I just started laughing. And I went, okay, fair enough. You know what I mean? In my heart, I thought, man, maybe I should give her a chance because she doesn't already think, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you meet somebody and they go, oh, I've seen you on TV. So they automatically think you're somebody that you're not. And she was just going by off of who I was. And so when I met her mom and dad, her mother literally said, wait a minute, you're a wrestler? And I said, yes, ma'am. And she went, but I thought those guys were all real big and weighed like 500 pounds and wore like a diaper thing. She was thinking of sumo wrestlers. And I said, no, like Hulk Hogan. I said to her, like Hulk Hogan. And she went, who's Hulk Hogan? And I just started laughing. And I said, okay, yeah, well, my, and I'll never forget her dad going, so is there like like a man would do if his daughter was getting real serious with a guy that says he's a wrestler? He said, well, is there like are you going to make a living at this, or do you do it a lot? And I said, well, yes, sir. I make a living at it now. And my dad has done it as long as I just put food on my table my entire life. And he said, so your dad's a wrestler too? And I said, yes, sir. All I could do was say, we're wrestling in Pensacola this Sunday.
Come out and see us.
Y'all please come and you'll see what I do for a living, and you'll see my brothers and you'll see my dad. And after that, I'll never forget him saying, are you sure you can make a living at this? And I said, well, I don't know, but I want to, that's for sure.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, man.
Maybe they knew Hulk Hogan as Sterling Golden.
Yeah, that's true. Could have. Sure could have, man. Oh, that's a high spot. Yeah, dude, it's look, if you don't know, you don't know. You know what I mean? Look, wrestling fans are wrestling fans, but if you don't know it, you don't know the product. You know what I mean? Look, I love it, and I will always love it, and I will watch it when I'm in the nursing home, and I'll tell them, put it on Monday Night Raw. I'm gonna watch. You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. But if you don't watch it, you don't watch it. As simple as that. I don't know what to tell you. You're missing out in my book.
Yeah, man. It's wrestling. It's soap opera with punches and kicks.
Yeah, amen. And good storyline. You know what I mean? It's a lot of fun. Hey, I know we're running out of time, Mike, but I wanted to say, Donnie D, you're good to this podcast. I just want to say thank you. You know who you are. Appreciate you always reaching out on Twitter. Callie, a young lady that I met, I did a show in Jasper, Alabama a week or two ago, and I met a young lady named Callie who was just so kind and there with her kids, and it was just so cool to meet. Look, I haven't been able to go back and start meeting people face to face. On Twitter, hey, how are you? But to meet people face to face, really, really cool. And it was cool to be a part of that Jasper show and see some of the wrestlers there, and their kids are there watching them wrestle. And for me to be able to stand back and watch the dad wrestling, but look over at his kids and see how involved they were in their dad's match. Dude, it just took me back, man. I remember being that kid. And it was so cool. Like after the match, I was able to take the dude aside and go, hey, man, this may not mean anything to you, but it meant everything to me to be able to watch your kids watch you wrestle. And I said, you will never know what that feels like to watch your dad wrestle. but your kids know, and I know, because our dads are, our dads are wrestlers. And so it was just really, very, it centered me. I don't mean to get all zen and crap, but it's just very cool to be able to see that and go, wow, man, for the grace of God, go I. And I really appreciated that moment in time to see that. And on my drive home, go, man, how fortunate that I get to be in something that I love and be a part of it, and be able to talk about it with you, and get involved with IWN and main event wrestling, and it all just happened like it's supposed to, man. I don't know, man. The people are put in your path, and you just open your eyes and enjoy it, man, and thank the Lord for it. And I'm very thankful. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I, like you said, I appreciate all the support. The listeners subscribing, liking. Go into the IWN app, download the app, check us out, look at these beautiful faces, and
yeah. And hey, more than anything, please leave comments. Please leave comments. Please hit us up on Twitter. We can answer your questions. You just got to hit us up.
Gotta let us know what you want to hear.
Please do.
Yep. But until next time, we're gonna roll out of here. That's Scott Armstrong at WWE Armstrong on Twitter. I'm Big Mike, the host. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you, Scott. We're gonna roll out of here.
Thanks, guys.